Now we're thinking about the playoff rankings, which will be releasing in 24 hours and 9 minutes on ESPN. Tyler, where do you see LSU and Alabama being ranked in the first edition of the 2024 CFP rankings?
I'm trying to remember where LSU sits right now. Are they in the AP? Are they like 16?
Right now, let's look at the AP.
Alabama's
Yeah,
13.
No, we're 14.
14.
Alabama's
Okay.
13.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Alabama is currently 11 in the AP.
11.
Yeah, Alabama's 11 in the AP. So, I mean, I'd say
Okay,
you're
I was
probably looking at
ESPN.
I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama were above like a Notre Dame, just literally by virtue of the fact that they're Alabama. But I think, I mean, I'd see them staying ahead of Boise. So I think I'd say Alabama's probably 10 and LSU's maybe 13 would probably be my guess, something like that.
Joy, where do you see Alabama and LSU being ranked in the first edition of the 2024 CFP rankings?
I really have no idea. I'm not even going to I don't know. I think the first college football playoff rankings are always so they're so telling because up until then, you just really don't know where the committee's head's at, especially with the 12-team playoff. This rankings is really going to tell you what conferences they're really believing in, what conferences they're not believing in, how they're looking at it based on okay, are we going to rank the group of 5 guy higher even though they're going to get in anyway? Are we going to make them look better? There's too many questions for me in terms of what the committee is going to prioritize in terms of making their list. I mean, I think they'll both be in the top 15. I could see Alabama getting in the top 10. Unless of course they don't think Vandy's that good and then they might value that loss more. They might think A&M's not that good and then they just got curb stomped by South Carolina. I don't know. I think it's just going to be, I don't know where their priorities are. And so I think they'll both be top 15, but that's really all I can give you because in terms of numbers, I don't know what they're thinking. So I have no idea.
Well, I think LSU and Alabama, they'll likely be in the top 15, of course. I could see one or both of them just barely out of the top 10. It would not surprise me. I'm thinking that's where we're going to be. Johnny, what do you think about the CFP rankings tomorrow? You could be
Alabama. They don't deserve to be in the top 12, so we can start there. I don't know what they're basing it on. I mean, quality wins. Well, Alabama beat Georgia. All right, then you look at losses, and that I don't know what they're going to base it on. The dynamic. I think the first one. I'm kind of leaning with Joy. I don't know who's going to predict this. I don't know, but I don't think. Personally, for me, I don't think Alabama's in the top 12. I look at the teams that are above them. And of course, you have to give preference to the undefeateds and stuff like that. I know we get all in the
weeds.
Conferences and power conferences and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the NCAA set this, so there is no power conference. It's all one dynamic now. So, Boise State, these other teams, they're undefeated. They deserve to be ranked higher. And so, really don't know what to think, but Alabama shouldn't be in the top 12.
Oh yeah.
No. If Alabama, to me, Vandy and Tennessee definitely should be in front of Alabama. Head to head. It's got to count for something.
Oh yeah. So I'm looking at the top 15 for the AP poll. I see that Boise is 12th in the nation. I see that SMU is 13th and BYU is 9th. Now, we look back at week 2, and nobody really had BYU SMU on their minds. A lot of people were thinking about the Packers-Eagles in Brazil, especially when Jordan Love was getting hurt. Or they were thinking about Kansas-Illinois. Can Kansas finally get it done? Nobody really thought BYU-SMU would be a game for the long term that everybody would look back at. Or, Boise State, Oregon, back when it happened week 2, Peacock app.
But this is
And
what they wanted. I mean, this is what they wanted. They wanted, these whatever teams and non-power five. It's just it can't all be. So that you get that's what they wanted. That's what these teams deserve. They're there, and so hey, Alabama. Other teams.
and that's the
It
funny
is what
thing
it
about
is.
like, agreed. Like that's the funny thing about perception. It changes very easily because, like, again, people didn't really think about Oregon, Boise State being that good of a game for the long term, especially with the nasty close win for Oregon. That's not a team that's going to beat Ohio State. Well, what happens? A few weeks later, boom, they beat Ohio State. Nobody's really looking at BYU SMU as a game changer for the long term for SMU. Back when it happened, SMU lose that game, they're not going to last long in the ACC. They can't even beat a pitiful BYU team. Guess what happens? BYU's unbeaten in the Big 12 and in all college football. One of 5 unbeaten teams in college football. SMU's now fighting for a shot at the ACC target. Well, I mean, one of the top 2 teams at the moment. I mean, we could be seeing a Miami SMU title game for the ACC, but still, it's pretty interesting to see what happens. And, when Alabama beat Georgia, we let go to our heads for a little bit. A lot of people were saying, oh, Caleb DeBoer is great, this, that, and the other. Some of the fans were squawking about how much of a disaster it is with DeBoer, this, that, and the other. We told him, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's his first year, not his 5th year. I get it. There's that Vanderbilt loss. I totally get it, but they got a really good quarterback with Diego Pavia, and they got that offensive consultant, Jerry Kill. That's pretty huge right there. So it'll be interesting to see where the rankings head for tomorrow night. I know I'll be keeping an eye on it.